breakaway, showtime, he scores!
There's not a goaltender alive that's a normal human being.
All of that came from the vulnerability of the face. Somebody not wearing a mask seems inconceivable.
They are great guys, but they're just off the wall.
You usually have to have a very hot goalie.
Well, you gotta have the goaltending to win in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Today's game, the goaltenders are asked to be better athletes, and they've responded.
Oh, man, that's goaltending.
He is something to watch. What an athlete.
There's no question goaltenders can be MVPs in the league.
Oh, baby, what a save!
How in the world did he stop that? Harry Houdini save right here.
Canada, the birthplace of hockey. Toronto is the metropolitan hub of Canada and the home of hockey's greatest shrine. Welcome to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'm Darren Pang. This is the ideal place to talk about the most important position in hockey, the goaltender. You may think I'm biased because I played goal for 3 years in the NHL, but imagine a baseball team with only one starting pitcher and you'll begin to understand the role of a goaltender. But unlike a baseball pitcher, the goalie is at the receiving end of those 100-mile-per-hour projectiles, and that makes for some really unusual personalities at this position. NHL goalies are as individual as this collection of masks. The most intimidating mask the NHL has ever seen was worn by the New York Rangers' Gilles Gretton. Imagine being a forward coming down and seeing that thing right at you. In the mid-'70s, Jimmy Rutherford of the Detroit Red Wings, his trainer was the first to put a little paint on the eyebrows, and that really started a trend. As you see, the mask that I wore in 1988, what I loved about this is the Indian headdress and the intricacies of the paint job that was done. As recently as the early 1970s, several NHL goaltenders played without a mask. That may explain why we have such a reputation for being a little bit flaky. But personalities aside, you can't compete for the Stanley Cup without great goaltending.
Well, you know, Mike Vernon deserves this trophy as much as anybody.
The reigning king of goaltenders in the NHL is Dominik Hasek. The Dominator has won the Vezina Trophy, symbolic of the league's best goaltender, 3 times in the last 4 years. He also won the 1997 Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player. But his road to NHL stardom has not been an easy one.
I was drafted, I think, in 1983, and some of my teammates told me about it like 2 or 3 months later. You were drafted. I said, what does it mean? And he explained to me, what does it mean to be drafted? And I said, that's nice.
But not nice enough to lure Hasek out of Czechoslovakia, where he became the #1 goalie in Europe. 7 years later, Dominik came to Chicago, accepting the challenge to play in the world's best league for the Blackhawks and their fiery coach, Mike Keenan.
Yeah, at that time I was starting goalie in the national team, and all of a sudden I came to Chicago, and I was one of maybe 4 or 5 goalies. It was pretty strange for me, you know. I was thinking if I won't be starting, I'll be at least a backup goalie, but they sent me, during the training camp, they sent me down to Indianapolis. It was a really tough time for me.
Dom paid his dues in Indianapolis, becoming the IHL's top goalie. But Hasek's NHL dream was in jeopardy when Keenan cut him in year 2.
That time I thought the NHL for me is over. I picked up the phone after a couple of weeks, you know, and I called him. I told him, Mike, I don't think I can play in the NHL. I'm too old, and there are better goalies here, and I think I'm not good enough. But Mike Keenan, he told me, I'll call you back, I'll see.
The call eventually came, and by January of '92, Dominik was in the NHL. But backing up Eddie Belfour dulled his skills, and his rare starts were unimpressive.
Messier centers on goal, it goes in, he scores!
Hasek was a spectator for the Blackhawks during their improbable run to the '92 Stanley Cup Finals. Trailing in the final game of a 4-game sweep by Pittsburgh, it was Keenan who gave Hasek a chance to shine on the NHL's biggest stage.
And this off Mike Keenan's lips. Dominik. Here comes Dominik Hasek, the Czechoslovakian goaltender. Dominik Hasek makes his first action here in this series.
It was the debut of a goaltending phenomenon known as the Dominator.
Smith comes down, backdoor pass to David. Oh, what a save by Hasek on He'll snuck down, though. Beat it, Amnesty with a great play. And Hasek challenged him. He come out and knock it away. Dominic Hasek, another big goaltending effort. Lemieux in on goal against Hasek. He shoots at Hasek, robs him again. Great balls of fire. Dominic Hasek throwing, stopping everything the Penguins are throwing at him. They've loaded up the big truck and brought it into Chicago, and he's cleaning out all the sinks.
Dominic wasn't able to help the Hawks overcome Pittsburgh in '92, but he did give the Sabres a boost when he came to Buffalo in the offseason. Playing every day allowed the hockey world to realize that despite his unorthodox style and strange mannerisms, Dominic was a very special goalie.
Dominic Hasek stops pucks, and that's his job. You can do it stand-up, butterfly, flopping, it doesn't matter. You stop the puck. He understands that probably better than any goalie. And it's taken a long time for coaches and managers to understand him.
To understand Dominic, you must accept that he is a unique physical specimen.
You can't explain it. Look at the guy. He's got 4 limbs going every way.
I mean, he told me, Hasek did, that when he was younger, he was taken to the doctor because they thought his knee joints were something wrong. I mean, you don't have these rubber knee joints like this.
So they recommended for me some special exercise, like every day. I exercise like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week for 20 minutes. But these exercises when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, I think it really helped me to be, maybe today, a better goalie.
The NHL's best goalie over the past 5 seasons.
Goalie rebound. Oh, bash it. Oh, my, call a club. Ellick looking in front of the net. Enormous save. Fires it into the line. Wyszynski. Backhand. Save, another shot, another save as he denied 2 men of hat tricks.
And Hasek, he won't tire. He just loves this.
In 1996-97, Hasek enjoyed the most celebrated season a goalie has ever had, winning his 3rd Vezina Trophy, collecting the Pearson Trophy as the player's choice for MVP, and becoming only the 5th goalie in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy as league MVP.
This is something I cannot describe in words. I want to thank, for sure, Buffalo Sabres organization for giving me a chance to prove I could play in the NHL. I will never forget it.
Hasek's place in history was further cemented by his astounding finish to 1997.
And Dominic Hasek has established a new modern National Hockey League record. His 6th shutout in 1 month.
Is Dominic Hasek the greatest goalie of all time?
I'm very proud of all these trophies, of course, you know. But there's so many great goalies in the past, so I don't feel I'm the greatest at all. And maybe if I win a couple of Stanley Cups, I would feel. Not today. I don't feel like the greatest goalie at all.
Prior to Hasek, it had been 35 years since a goaltender last won the Hart Trophy, when Jacques Plante won it in 1962. And although he won 7 Vezina trophies and 6 Stanley Cups, he'll always be remembered as the first NHL goaltender to don a mask.
In an era when goalies' faces were still unprotected, Plante created quite a stir with his rudimentary mask, which he designed.
All of the plastic?
Yes, fiberglass.
And, oh, I see, fiberglass. And does it bother your vision, or what are the drawbacks to it?
Well, so far it's been all right.
Like so many of the goalies of his generation, Jacques was eccentric, to say the least. He feuded constantly with legendary coach Toe Blake and even took up knitting to calm his nerves. Sports fans have always believed that goaltenders are a different breed, but the truth is it takes all kinds to play goal in the National Hockey League. 2 of today's best play only a few miles away from each other, but in terms of style and temperament, no 2 players could be further apart than Martin Brodeur and Mike Richter.
You guys look like you're gonna fall asleep out there. Wake up, let's go!
Martin Brodeur seemed destined for the NHL. As a youth, his playground was the Montreal Forum, where his father was team photographer for the Canadiens.
That's something that I always wanted to do. It's play hockey in the NHL, and being around my dad and being around the people he was around, it kind of brought me up slowly towards the NHL.
Brodeur not only made it to the NHL, but he has become a yearly fixture at the All-Star game.
Keith Tkachuk with it. Out to Hall, side of the net. Oh, and then he rolls one off the post. On the rebound. Now he's got another try. Oh, it's saved by Brodeur.
Pavel just tapped Brodeur's pads with his stick as he skated by, saying, nice going.
Mike Richter's path wasn't as clear. After 2 years at the University of Wisconsin, he represented the United States in the 1988 Olympics. But doubts about his ability remained.
I saw Mike Richter play a lot in 1988, and I didn't think Mike Richter was going to make it successfully in the NHL, and I was wrong. I mean, he's tough. He understands goaltending.
Richter has developed into one of the game's elite goaltenders for one reason.
Hard work. Mike Richter is one of the hardest working individuals I've ever seen. He's got thighs on him like oak trees.
Ricky's a student of the game, a student of life. He'll take this kind of carbo fuel and he'll eat only grain before a game, and he's just a nut.
Yeah, your work does not start when the puck is dropped. It starts long before that.
Richter's attention to detail prepares him for each game. His ritual is a lot different from Martin Brodeur's.
In the morning of a hockey game, Mike Richter will not do an interview with me or any other reporter. He doesn't do TV interviews because it's day of game. Marty Brodeur will sit around and schmooze with you for 3 hours if he has the time.
It's fun, you know, it's something that I enjoy. You know, sometimes there's guys that have the problem to cope with that, but I'm not one of them. I go out there and it doesn't get better than that.
Their differences sometimes extend onto the ice.
Go, go, go!
All those All-Stars? Can't happen.
Run! Behind!
That's it. Wow.
But when it comes to stopping the puck, Martin and Mike have a lot in common.
The push in front save! Another save! Richter is unbelievable! Another save on top two!
Gilchrist fires! Oh! Snapped out of the air by Brodeur! Dallas, close save! Bradley in, crosses! Wow, what a save!
Shot, Richter save, rebound, watch, twice, Richter with a stick. Right into the boost, save!
In on goal, shot at Brodeur! Spectacular save!
I think a lot of people would love to be in our place, living right here near New York City, where you can get to see two of the best goalies.
These two superstars spoiled hockey fans in the New York metro area. And in consecutive years, both Richter and Brodeur delivered the Stanley Cup.
Here he goes. Save by Richter!
Louvet with the puck. He cuts in. Save by Richter. Another save by Richter. Another save by Richter. And he made another one. 5 saves by Mike Richter.
Very moving. Very shot. Oh, what a save!
Another shot wide. The rebound saved by Richter. Mike Richter runs. Clip running with an unbelievable save. The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions. These people have waited a long time.
Here's a try. Look at that save by Brodeur. And he covers. And John LeClair now knows he cannot score against Martin Brodeur. Behind the net, Shepherd in front. Backhander, loose, side of the net, Draper, caught, drive it home.
What an incredible save by Martin Brodeur. He got that one with his stick.
The championship to New Jersey. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Although both have hoisted the Stanley Cup, there are still some things that one has achieved and the other hasn't. Mike Richter's made a save barehanded.
He actually cleared that puck away with his bare hand, it looked like.
But Martin Brodeur,
He's got a defenseman stick now, Brodeur does. Langenbrunner shot save and another stop.
Richter's won a World Cup,
Unbelievable victory for the Americans.
but Mike will always be envious of Martin because of this play on April 17th, 1997.
Brodeur controlling. The net is empty. He throws it down. And he scored a goal. Martin Brodeur.
All right, Martin. Oh, is he a happy man? Oh, can you believe it? Oh, that's the ultimate
pioneer of sniping goaltenders was the Flyers.
In the National Hockey League, what Hextall just did.
And to prove it was no fluke, Hextall rang up another goal 2 years later, this time in the playoffs.
Hextall stops it. Look out. Down the ice. He's got a chance. He's got a chance. He's got it. The first time ever it's happened in the playoffs. Ron Hextall.
It was a more skilled goal. It was more of a goal scoring goal. That's what it was.
It took nearly 7 years before another NHL goalie lit the lamp.
Osgood handles. Looks to clear it himself. He does. Going for the empty goal. It's Chris Osgood scores! Chris Osgood does the unthinkable. You don't see that too often.
This is a goaltender's dream. He's got the 5 shutouts, and now he's just added a goal.
It was the shining moment in Osgood's All-Star season. Now, goalies have been involved in the offense for decades. Who knew that Hall of Famer Glenn Hall was such a playmaker?
Here's Hall with the puck, stick handling. Passing it over to Chris.
We goaltenders love getting our name on the score sheet. This was a set play.
Bang will clear it himself. He's got Presley, and he's onside. Can he catch up to the puck? He scores!
Oh, how I missed the sound of that horn. Attaboy, Wayne. Technically, Billy Smith was the first NHL goalie to score a goal.
Saved by Smith. Rebound. Ram it to the blue line. Nobody home. And that could be a goal for the Islanders. Rob Raymond just shot it into his own net.
Billy was just in the right place at the right time. That goal is only a minor footnote on Badland Billy's brilliant NHL resume. He leads a group of goalies that made their mark when the Stanley Cup was on the line. The NHL's money goaltenders.
Anybody can put up regular season numbers. Your whole life is on the line in the playoffs.
Gretzky from back of the net. Gretzky in front. Anderson shot. Big save by Billy Smith off Glenn Anderson.
Smitty's clutch goaltending powered the Islanders to 4 straight cups in the early 1980s.
Islanders win the Stanley Cup in a sweep.
Badland Billy will always be remembered for the 83 finals when he shut down Wayne Gretzky's high-flying Oilers.
The chance to put Anderson. Great save by Smith. Billy back of the net. Smith spotted the last minute.
His 4th cup was the sweetest, but the Islanders' dynasty was finally snuffed out by Edmonton the next year. Grant Fuhr's acrobatic goaltending put the Oilers over the top.
What a stop by Fuhr.
Like Smith, Fuhr enjoyed 4 Stanley Cups in the 1980s.
Over the line, shifting in. Oh, Fuhr robbed him. Eklund center, Smith a shot saved by Fuhr. Front for the drive, saved by Fuhr. This is playoff hockey. Grant Fuhr becoming the best, if not the best, money goaltender in the game today.
One of the best money goaltenders in the 70s was Bernie Parent. In 1974, he carried the Flyers to their first Stanley Cup.
He shoots, makes the save. Or keys it up, fires high, self good save. Parent has that.
Philadelphia repeated a year later, and Bernie became the only goalie ever to win MVPs back-to-back.
Parent is absolutely fantastic.
In the 50s and 60s, if you needed a shutout, you turned to Terry Sawchuk. Sawchuk compiled an unbelievable 103 shutouts and another 12 in the playoffs, winning 4 Stanley Cups in his 21-year career. America's top money goalie is Massachusetts native Tom Barrasso.
Tom Barrasso. Stunning will be the word, I think, for his performance in the playoffs this year. Drags it across into the Penguins. Ian McLean right in front, man there. Oh, what a save by Barrasso. Glove save by Barrasso.
He's the first American with 300 wins, and his 2 Stanley Cups secure his place in history.
Patrick Waugh may be the best money goaltender in the game today. In fact, is the best money goaltender when it comes to playoffs.
Patrick Waugh's playoff performances have netted him 3 Stanley Cups and 2 Conn Smythe trophies.
McSorley, great save by Waugh.
You know, I always like to think of myself as a bit of a money goalie.
Here's Gretzky moving in alone in front. Gretzky shoots, saved by Darren Pang.
Oh, wait a minute, Panger. Money goalie? You know I love you, but come on.
Here's McSorley thinking. Now going behind the net. He's got an open net. He scores!
Okay, guys, maybe I am better suited for bloopers, but at least I'm in good company.
And here we go.
Brett Hull winding up to his own line to the red line. A slap shot. He scores!
In scores! And hopped over his arm. Boy, oh boy, terrible feeling for the goaltender to see that one.
Severin. Price scores! Severin catching Damian Rose by surprise.
Hey, don't always blame the goalie. Not always our fault.
Now Barnes of the Penguins slap it. The puck it in off the play, and the Penguins take the lead right back.
Would you believe these guys are on the same team?
That's embarrassing.
Man, you just can't trust anyone.
Bird in the save. How did he see it?
Not even your own partner.
That was Gretz.
Oh, embarrassed.
Talk about embarrassed. How about these foul-ups?
Come on, baby. Let's go. Here we go.
Holy jeez. Look out.
That hurts, folks.
Everyone always says the goalies are off the wall. Well, maybe they've got a point. Heck, these guys are perfect material for any professional comedian.
Steve White here for Comedy Central. I'm Jay Moore for Comedy Central. Check this out. Hey. I got him. We try to trick guys into coming into the crease? No. Yeah, I put a little cracker over here.
You're not supposed to stop it with your bare hand.
Push me. You can't
All right.
budge me. You're an all-star goalie, and I'm a schmuck from New Jersey. Fire it. Oh. Good form, though, right? You're right. You are a schmuck from New Jersey. Hey, come on.
One would never use that term to describe John Van Beesbroek. The undersized goalie grew up in a working-class suburb of Detroit, the son of an immigrant laborer.
My dad was a bricklayer for 35 years. You know, I mean, I did a piece of it for a couple of years. When you do that, you gain appreciation for hard work and work ethic.
At 16, John made a decision that would shape the rest of his life. He had played hockey from an early age and chose to hone his craft in Canada, an unusual decision for a kid out of Detroit.
My brother went to the University of Michigan, and I thought that was the golden route. But as I found, and I got competitive in midget hockey, that the OHL was really the place that the scouts went to and a real proving ground.
His decision paid off. The experience he gained propelled him into the NHL, and in his second season, he established himself as the Rangers' #1 goalie.
You talk about your hot goaltenders, star goaltenders, John Van Beesbroek.
John drew inspiration from a unique bond he felt with head coach Ted Sater.
Mike Holmgren says that about Brett Favre is we're attached at the hip. I believe in you, you believe in me. And at the time, I had a coach in Ted Sater that believed in the same type of principle. And I engaged in that and really felt the coach-player relationship that propelled me. When you get that type of commitment, all you want to do is flourish.
Together, coach, goalie, and team caught fire in the 1986 playoffs as the Rangers became giant killers.
Shot from the point, stopped by Van Beesbroek. The man in goal for the Rangers. Spell his name H-E-R-O. John Van Beesbroek. The Rangers have turned it around and eliminated the first-place Philadelphia Flyers.
The Rangers are on the doorstep of another major upset.
Looking, Peter Murphy. Save Van Beesbroek.
And the Beezer goes up from the crowd.
Gardner stopped by Van Beesbroek. Rebound stop. The Rangers will win.
The guy that we put the yeoman share of the work on was John Van Beesbroek, and he came through and single-handedly carried us into the Stanley Cup Final Four.
In the conference finals, John encountered another young goalie. Patrick Waugh ended the Rangers' miracle run, but could not take away from Van Beesbroek's incredible season.
It was an unbelievable feat to beat Philly, an unbelievable feat to beat Washington. And those things you really engage in. I guess you gain notoriety from that.
The 22-year-old was awarded the Vezina Trophy as the league's best goalie. And for the next 6 years, John was a mainstay in the Rangers' net.
Starts moving, McDonald up front. Save Van Beesbroek. Unbelievable. He is in, he's stick handled. And Van Beesbroek got saved. Rebound. Save Van Beesbroek. What a save with a stick.
When Mike Richter arrived in New York, the Rangers suddenly had two #1 goalies. The league expanded in 1993 and the Rangers were forced to make a choice. Van Beesbroek found himself on the outside looking in.
From the Sunshine State, Florida Panthers select John Van Beesbroek.
Coming to an expansion team as a 30-year-old could have been the end of Van Beesbroek's career, but it wasn't.
Panthers did a lot of winning. John Van Beesbroek was the backbone. He was the roots to the tree that I think allowed that to happen.
Big deal, big deal. Go down and get the winner now.
The quicker you adapt, the more successful you're going to be. And I was told that early on in my career, and I remembered those things, and I kept on bringing them up, and, you know, we grew.
But no one could have expected the kind of success the Panthers achieved in just their third season.
Lindsay working on court. Down was Jody Hull in front. Lindsay scores!
Once again, Van Beesbroek led an overachieving team on a miraculous playoff run.
The Florida Panthers, I think they have some respect coming their way. Stoyanov held it in. Jaromir Jagr saved by Van Beesbroek. Lindsay dropped the shot.
To the little team that could.
This team in '96 was just a bunch of guys playing hard together, a lunch pail crew that wouldn't take no for an answer, and you know, you love every minute of it.
Florida's headed to the Stanley Cup Championship Series.
Florida faced the Colorado Avalanche, and once again, the adversary was Patrick Waugh. Colorado won the first 3 games and threatened to sweep, but in Game 4, Van Beesbroek made one final stand.
Carter trying to catch him. Denmark in. Denmark shot. Save made by Van Beesbroek. Second save. Michael into the net, but the puck didn't go with him.
Here comes Forsberg. Along the line. The pass in. Oh! There's a better save than anything we've seen tonight so far by John Van Beesbroek.
Shot. Keane deflected in the middle. Going for the cup. Oh, Van Beesbroek. Next goal wins. It'll be the only one.
5 periods of shutout hockey, and in an instant, it was over.
Kick held it in. Still held in. Uwe Krupp shot. Score!
When you have a lot of respect for somebody and you're up there competing against them, you know, you want to win, but by the same token, when you lose, you know you've gotten beat by the best.
This attitude keeps John Van Beesbroek moving forward. This undersized kid from Michigan has persevered and become one of the greatest American goaltenders in the history of the game.
John Van Beesbroek will gladly pick up the puck. His 300th career win, 15th NHL goaltender all time, and congratulations to the Beezer.
This is Frankie Brimsek, Mr. Zero. He was a star for the Boston Bruins and the Chicago Blackhawks in the 1940s. Brimsek from Eveleth, Minnesota, is the only American-born goalie here in the Hall. But with stars like John Van Beesbroek and Mike Richter, that list will certainly grow. Another U.S.-born player, Guy Hebert from Troy, New York, has certainly made his mark in the National Hockey League. And he was a long shot to even make it to the NHL, as he came from a small college that had never before produced an NHL player. Hamilton College, a small liberal arts school in upstate New York. Their Division III hockey program is just part of a well-rounded education. Class of '89 goaltender Guy Hebert stood out from a group of seniors in hockey only. Away from the rink, he was a typical student, enjoying his senior spring before getting on with the rest of his life.
This is a pro hockey player.
Hamilton was really just a thought of going to college, getting you know, a great education, and you know, being able to play at a good level of hockey and make lifelong friends.
Unlike his friends, Guy stuck with hockey, playing in the minors for the Blues organization. His big break came at the 1990 Goodwill Games.
And Bianca moves right in, shoots, the save, the rebound, loose puck, look out!
Credit Hebert with 2 fine saves.
You know, my opportunity to play in the Goodwill Games really gave me a chance to kind of show people, you know, maybe even outside the Blues organization, that, you know, maybe I was a capable goalie who could continue to improve over time.
Well, he shoots and a great save. Hebert standing up.
It really was a blessing in disguise. Ron Wilson being one of my coaches in the Goodwill games, who later became the Mighty Ducks coach. You never know, and when you play, you have to take the most out of the opportunity.
And Hebert comes up big again, this time against Joe Juneau.
After the Goodwill games, Hebert worked his way up the Blues depth chart until he finally reached his goal.
I always wanted to play one NHL game, so that's what kind of kept me going. I'm like, if somehow somebody gets hurt or they need somebody, if I can get up there for that one game, then I've kind of fulfilled my dream.
Now moves in on Hebert. They can't score. Man hop out of the corner and unbelievable save by Hebert.
I would just get constant phone calls from family and friends and guys I played college hockey with or against, and just couldn't believe the fact that I was playing professionally.
For the college kid from Troy, New York, the dream was just beginning. The NHL expanded in 1993, and Anaheim snatched up Hebert, reuniting him with coach Ron Wilson. He made Hebert the Ducks' #1 goalie, a role he's never relinquished.
Brown and Jack moving in and goal. Glove save. Hebert taking it back. Trying to jam it in. Sadiq. Oh, my! What a save by Guy Hebert.
This way. Little time, little time.
Axelson in over the line. Moves around Baradov. Gets off a shot, and Guy Hebert was able to bat out and make the save. Up the middle. There's the top. The save by Guy Hebert.
One corner.
Save made by Hebert.
One low.
Leach cuts in. He holds. He shoots. Oh, my goodness. What a recovery by Guy Hebert.
Ready or not, Guy Hebert is now big time. He works with stars both on the ice
Your own game, that's enough. Just for good luck. Go, come on, buddy.
and off the ice.
He's a great hockey player. I'm telling you, this guy, and he can help with your team, too. And he can help with saving the world. You know how many pucks this guy is taking to the head?
A voiceover session with Jim Belushi was strangely prophetic.
Started the All-Star game, NHL All-Star game.
I'm going to make the All-Star game?
You'll make the All-Star game because I'm going to be voting.
I think that's the only way I'm going to make it.
1 year later.
Who would have thought I'd lead these group of guys out to the ice?
Yes, Guy Hebert representing the Ducks at the '97 All-Star Game. He faced the world's best shooters and didn't blink.
Ah, boy, Guy!
That was pretty good. Went a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
Guy also took home some memories from the big game.
Hebert robbing Wayne Gretzky.
Despite all the peaks Hebert has reached in his hockey career, he always remembers his friends, especially in New York.
Good game. Yeah, that was all right. Could have been better, but could have been worse.
I usually have my family on one side and then the Hamilton crowd on the other side, and they still look at me and say, I used to score on you in practice every day. I can't believe you're here and I'm not. You know, it's great. You know, they enjoy it as much as I do, and it's always nice, especially to come back to New York and get to see them all in person.
Hebert's college buddies can live out hockey's greatest thrills through Guy, including the drama of a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Hebert, the first playoff shutout of his career and obviously of the Mighty Ducks franchise.
And representing the United States in the Olympics.
When you spend time riding on a bus in the minors, and I think you really appreciate the good things that happen, and now I've exceeded my own expectations, and I just hope to continue.
For Canadian Olympic goalie Curtis Joseph, the dream of ever playing pro hockey seemed far-fetched growing up. It wasn't until he was 21 years old and the University of Wisconsin offered him a scholarship that he began to think differently. As the Badgers' starting goalie, Joseph had a final chance to tap into his immense potential.
I had gone to college a little later than most kids. I think I was 21 at the time. So I was the same age as the seniors, being a freshman. It turned out that I was a total free agent at the end of that year. And fortunately, things went well that year, so it was a good time to leave. And, of course, I was senior age anyways.
After one collegiate season, Cujo had gone from a non-entity to a hot commodity. Several NHL teams courted him, but St. Louis was the most appealing.
They had the best presentation. They seemed to wanted me the most. You know, I'd like Brian Sutter at the time. He's a real people person, and it just seemed right to me.
The Blues wasted little time capitalizing on their investment. Cujo soon became the hardest working goalie in the NHL.
Race shot, great save, Joseph!
Saved by Joseph again.
Now Curtis Joseph leads the league in saves, and here's one more.
I think it helped me as a goaltender to face a lot of shots like that. I think I've seen a lot of shots, I've seen a lot of situations. I think it helped me grow as a goaltender, and it was nice to be able to play 60, 70 games a year for those 3 or 4 years. I think that really helped the developmental process.
The high point of Joseph's tenure with the Blues came when his acrobatics led St. Louis to a stunning sweep of the Chicago Blackhawks in the 1993 playoffs.
What a show we've had from Curtis Joseph. And are they happy here in St. Louis?
But Cujo's career took an unforeseen turn in 1995 when a contract impasse left him out of hockey. In danger of missing the entire season, he opted to play for Las Vegas of the International League. Despite constant sunshine, these were dark days.
That was the toughest thing I've ever gone through, not to play for half a year when you're perfectly healthy and knowing that you can play in the league and help somebody out. And not having control over it was tough. It was tough on myself and my family.
But Cujo persevered, and in January of 1996, he was back in the National Hockey League.
And Curtis Joseph gets his first win as an Edmonton Oiler.
And he embraced his new city much the same way he had done in St. Louis years earlier. He immersed himself in the community, establishing Cujo's Cloud 9, a luxury box at Edmonton Coliseum that enabled the less fortunate to enjoy games with lots of special attention.
And what better way to start off a relationship with the city than to do this for the kids, and it was something that me and my wife wanted to do. This is a way that we can get kids out to the game who are terminally ill, are in the hospital for a long time. They're able to come to the game, enjoy the game, and eat hot dogs, and have pop and popcorn. And so far, it's been a tremendous success. We've gotten lots of letters from the kids, and it's full every night. And if we can give them some hope or a good night, it's a great way to give back to the kids.
On the ice, Edmonton looked to Cujo to provide leadership to a talented but youthful Oiler team. He did not disappoint.
Then don't be aggressive, all right? If I tell they're in this corner, I say go get him, then he hasn't got a pass out here. Oh, what a save by Curtis Joseph! Let me see it!
Curtis Joseph, boy, he is at the top of his game. Oh, boy, Cujo, was he on? He's the best in the world.
Re-establishing himself as one of the game's premier goalies, Cujo lifted Edmonton to its first playoff berth in 5 years. Against Dallas, the Oilers were huge underdogs in their opening round matchup.
A great play by Curtis Joseph.
The man who was nearly forgotten by the NHL was about to make a permanent mark.
How about playing a Game 7 on your 30th birthday? Cujo is 30 years old today.
Joseph became a living example of how one man can alter the outcome of a team sport.
I think they all rallied around Cujo.
Curtis Joseph with another save of Madonna. Mike Madonna might have just had the series on his stick.
Our chances outchanced them maybe 4-1. So, he made the big saves when he needed to, and he was pretty much the main guy there.
It's the dealing of the pressure in the key situations that can make you an upper echelon goaltender. And there's no doubt that Curtis Joseph was the difference in the series.
The Oilers and Stars ended up in sudden death overtime, and Joseph picked the game's ultimate spotlight to shine his very brightest.
Series. There was nothing but air. And then there was Cujo.
Less than a minute later, the Oilers did the unthinkable.
Score! The Edmonton Oilers! The Edmonton Oilers come up to the Dallas Stars in overtime. Cujo stopped 233 of 250 shots for a .932 save percentage in this series. He is the reason the Oilers are advancing.
Cujo's amazing performance against the Dallas Stars was reminiscent of the Montreal Canadiens' young Ken Dryden. I've always wanted to do this. And in 1971, it was the big fella that stole a series and ultimately the Stanley Cup from Bobby Orr and the Big Bad Bruins.
National Hockey League record book serves as a testimonial to the 1970-71 Boston Bruins scoring machine.
The record-breaking Bruins were prohibitive favorites going into their Stanley Cup opening round series against the Montreal Canadiens. But an untested rookie from the Ivy Leagues created a huge roadblock.
Four goes in. Behind the Roberto McKenzie, great save, Dryden. McKenzie back to Green. Green into Busick, blocked by the long arm of Ken Dryden. I don't know if the Bruins are firing right into him, John, but the pad, the arm, the glove always seems to be there.
Despite having played a mere 6 NHL games prior to the playoffs, Dryden felt right at home.
I mean, playing college hockey helped me a lot going into my first playoff series. Boston Garden was a familiar place. I had played ECAC championships in Boston Garden with college students making noise that Bruins fans make. And so stepping out into that very unfamiliar circumstance of a Stanley Cup playoff game in Boston Garden, it wasn't unfamiliar at all. It felt very comfortable. I knew I had been there before, and then you can put away those things and just go out and play.
And play he did, stunning the Bruins in 7 games en route to the Stanley Cup.
And while the Stanley Cup seems like a whole other experience, it isn't. It's a championship, as a Pee Wee championship is, as a high school championship is, as a college championship is.
15 years after Dryden's NHL debut, another goaltender pumped championship life into Les Canadiens. This time it was a gangly Quebecer named Patrick Roy who lifted the Montreal Canadiens to yet another Stanley Cup.
There's only one way to be known as a winner if you win the Stanley Cup. And as soon as you win the Stanley Cup, your name is on the cup. There's nobody will take that away from you. And people will always remember you as a winner.
Long before Patrick Roy plays his last game in the NHL, his place as one of the game's greatest goaltenders will have been secured. It is a story that begins when Roy was 20 years old, directing the Canadiens on perhaps their unlikeliest Stanley Cup march in franchise history.
I always learned something from Montreal, and it was winning. Tradition was winning, and that's the way I was kind of born.
Well, the excitement is building for tonight's game, and the major question being asked is, who is Patrick Roy?
People talked about his superstitions and talking the goalposts and things, but Patrick stood above the rest.
It's a line in for Laidlaw. He shoots. It's deflected. Oh, what a save! It's stopped.
I know that he got called up late in the season. They said this kid is going to be the next Ken Dryden, and everybody said, yeah, right. And he basically became the next Ken Dryden.
Now Allison in front, and the stop on Sandstrom. And Patrick Roy about ready to go beyond unbelievable, Mickey Redmond.
You know, it was more the run to the cup, but when we won the cup, it was like, I don't know, it's something that could happen every year.
Roy would not win the cup every year, but every season come playoff time, the Montreal Canadiens were a threat, and Roy was the reason.
Unbelievable save by Patrick Roy.
As the years passed by, Patrick Roy became an almost legendary figure in the game, giving ordinary teams the ability to do the extraordinary.
Here's a chance for Lashishia with a shot. Patrick Roy.
Blocking it. Checked by Bob Sweeney. Wheels. Shoots and Roy robbed him.
Patrick Roy is so good he can play either way. Should have a mask on both sides. One of those.
Gretzky around the net. Comes out, centering back. Score! They tie it with 4.6 seconds left in the period.
Everybody was very nervous in the room because it was a big game and all that. And then I went to the shower in the bathroom and I came back and said, hey, relax. I'm not going to give one more, and just scored a winner.
Robitaille to Curry right in. And Roy makes a brilliant stop on Curry.
You know, Patrick is a guy that always backs up everything he says, and to hear that, it gave everybody a big boost.
Somebody stole the ballots, Bob.
You don't have to worry about that one, Harry.
Patrick Roy has that air about him. And I think that the guys were a little bit in awe of what Patrick Waugh was bringing to the Avalanche.
Look out, Cleveland cross off. Wide open! Unbelievable save by Waugh!
If you give Patrick a challenge, well, how big it is, it doesn't matter. He'll give you his heart.
I can't really hear what Jeremy says because I got my 2 Stanley Cup rings plugged in my ear.
And now Patrick Waugh takes hold of the cup. The 3rd time in his career he has raised the Stanley Cup.
With a legendary career and 3 Stanley Cups, Patrick Waugh has carved out a place in hockey history second to none and inspired many of today's brightest young goaltenders.
You know, Patrick Waugh started everything. Patrick Waugh came along in '86, won the Stanley Cup. So I think everyone who's got my age, Patrick Waugh's probably their idol. I try to model myself around him. I try to play the same style. You see a lot of goalies. The more successful goalies now in the league play like him.
I love the Canadians, and my role model was Patrick Waugh when I was younger. And yeah, it's just a great feeling to be sitting beside him in a room and just learning from him.
I mean, what is there left to say about Patrick?
There's not much to say about it. I think he's the greatest goalie in Stanley Cup history.
Patrick Waugh, a man defined by his confidence. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this look back at some of the great goaltenders, both past and present. We'll leave you now with a candid look at some of the NHL's best, the men behind the mask.
This guy is great. He's sensational. All right, he's not a duck, but he could be a duck. Quack like a duck. Gee, quack like a duck. Quack. See?
I was looking at Dominic before. He kind of looks like olive oil from Popeye.
Buffalo wings. Hey, we got the old-time team going here. We're the heroes of hockey here.
Thank you very much, and all I gotta say is there's probably a lot of people back in Canada will be turning over in their bed with me winning this tonight.
No, not at all.
You stick down. Stick down. Watch the puck. Watch the puck. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Save me, yeah! A little faster, huh?
Look, I think it's snowing again.
Oh, the foundation of a good hockey club is a good foundation.
No, I'm not arguing, but I'm telling you I didn't.
You guys don't look at me like that when I'm